so-called flying saucers.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. It's rotating.
Welcome to Kill the Stigma. Today we are going to be talking about the mystery drones again, and they are back apparently. So buckle up, but before we start this episode, let's rewind to how the story developed with Donald Trump in December and the Biden administration, how some of them was talking about it and what happened, okay? Just a very short recap.
I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. And I think President Trump and the new leadership coming in, I think will work diligently to understand who's behind this and what we do in order to stop the digital surveillance of all of our secure infrastructure.
Is it dangerous?
Well, I can tell you this. While we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones. And it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real.
Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it.
People were unhappy with that comment that you made yesterday and felt like you were, telling people that they were nuts or that they didn't know what they were seeing with their own eyes.
No, not at all, Martha. That's the farthest thing that I would ever do. I was simply reiterating what the FBI and what the Department of Homeland Security have relayed to us about what they've been able to corroborate. And we haven't been able to corroborate everything. I said many of the corroborated sightings have turned out to be piloted aircraft. I didn't say all of them, and what I said was those are the ones we were able to corroborate. There's certainly ones that we have not been able to, and we don't know the answer to it. And I strongly recommend that for folks that are seeing these things and documenting them to share that as they can with Department of Homeland Security and the
Why doesn't the United States government know? It seems silly. I mean, it feels a lot like the Chinese spy balloon. It was like, oh, we don't know. It's not a problem. Then we watched it go all the way across the country, and we kept hearing, we're not really sure where it came from until we saw it popped and, floated down over the ocean.
That's not quite how it went. We were very honest with the American people that we knew it was Chinese and we knew that where it was going to go. And we were pretty comfortable, given the analysis, that there wasn't going to be an intelligence threat by it. And we shot it down once it was over safe waters and wasn't going to hurt anybody. But back to this. Why don't we know? I wish I could tell you exactly why we don't have an answer for you here in the afternoon on the 13th of December. But I can tell you that we are working on it very, very hard to know, because we want to answer those questions the same as those folks in New Jersey want answers to them. And we are working on this very, very hard. We are now applying. There was an interagency conversation this morning about this topic where we have now decided to employ some additional technology to New Jersey and some additional personnel to try to get a better sense of what these things are. And as I said yesterday, Martha, as soon as we know, we're going to.
No, I hear you. This is shocking. I got to tell you, this is shocking.
The drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons.
So fascinating. So fascinating. It was like Trump was like, can't believe they're not giving you answers. Something strange is going on. We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to tell you what's going on. And then we get that, okay? And you see the same thing with the Biden administration, how John Kirby, what was going on? This seemed important, whatever it was. Even if you don't think it's like a non-human intelligence, UFOs, this seemed very important. And that's why I'm talking about it here. It's fascinating to see. And I don't know, but look, I'm going to show you something else about Donald Trump before we continue. Something he said not too long ago. A little slip of the tongue.
A lot of people that still believe that these drones are Chinese. And now today, President Donald Trump was asked about this.
I wanted to ask you about drones. We had the issue in New Jersey before the election where there are all these people thought UFOs or an attack of the killer drones.
Check out the initial response from President Donald Trump and tell me if he either slipped and then corrected himself or it was just a dumb mistake. And this interview was from June 9, 2025. The thing is, it was just made public today by UAP James. I hadn't seen it. So this is what Donald Trump said.
And I believe you're doing something about.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I know who. I can't tell you who it was and what it was, but yeah. I can't really tell you. I'd love to tell you actually, but it's not a big.
Did you see that? He said it's not up, and then he corrected himself.
Deal.
It's not.
It's not a big deal. Then he said, but it kind of seemed like he was going to say it's not up to me. And if that's the case, who's it up to? Who has more power than the president of the United States to talk about this? Maybe I'm just imagining things. I don't know. But that was really important. And I think that UAP James caught it too. That's why he published this. And he has a really keen eye to catch these things. And yeah.
Not something frightening.
No, but I just, so obviously it's something that I know about and it's not a problem at all.
It was legal.
Oh, yeah. That was legal.
Exactly. Who is it up to if it's not you, Mr. President? Most powerful man in the United States, most powerful country in the world, kind of, to struggle a little bit, but still, yes. So if it's not up to you, then who is it up to? Here comes Men in Black. It's the MIB. Anyway, so what happened? If it's not to him, seriously. You know what they say, right? Matthew Brown was just talking about some members getting access to the legacy program and how he was looking forward to, disclosure. And then they got some access and a 180 happened. And he mentions a PEAD, a Presidential Emergency Action Document. And then he says sometimes referred as treaties. Now this is Eisenhower, but you've heard the stories of the Eisenhower. I don't know if that's true, it's crazy, but that's what he said in his Substack. Go follow Matthew Brown. All right, now let's get to the current issue. These flaps are very interesting. Now there's a lot of debate about this being Russian, because it makes sense that it would be Russia. Russia's been violating the airspace of NATO for a while now. But there's a couple interesting characteristics of mystery drones that we can say that they're strange. And I think these drones that are shutting down airports as we speak right now, they've done it the last couple of nights, and they're doing it right now. Literally right now, I just saw on X that they just reopened the airport. So these drones are being seen in Denmark, Copenhagen, Norway. They shut down like 4 or 5 airports at this point, and it's going on hours and hours at a time. They're going to try to blame Russia. I'm telling you, it's going to remain a mystery. They're not going to be able to. I am pretty confident that this fits the pattern of what we saw last year. So anyway, let me show you what pilots are reporting.
Kommer närmare. Rätt över det.
Well, you're going to think I'm crazy. There's something that just went from right to left to right in a blink and then flashes lights 3-4 times and vanished.
Okay, well, I had an airplane cross from right to left, E-175. And now there's another one, 777 up there high off the right side that descended at 28. That might be those two aircraft, I'm not sure.
This thing went 180 degrees in like a second.
Oh, goodness. All right. Yeah, let me know if you see it again. We'll make a report.
Well, the details, it literally went from one coast to the other in front of us, and then it went up like 30 degrees, turned off its lights, or whatever it had. It looked like it's a bright orangey thing, and then since we spoke to you last, it flashed us like 3-4 times, and we are still looking at it now.
So where is it roughly if I was to give you a traffic call?
I would say probably 60, 80 miles in front of us, and it looks like...
So you can hear the pilot there talking, right? And it's interesting. It's interesting. But let me get back to the video I was making earlier today, and how now I'm going to talk about how I was expecting this to happen. Let me show you. Point is, I put a tweet, watch out for flaps, when the UAP hearing happened, because there's rumors of disclosure, the phenomena responding to disclosure, right?
What do you believe to be the primary reason?
Look, Kurt, I'm
for lack of transparency.
Yeah, I'm a little more practical and probably a little bit more less optimistic for our species on this particular question. What if there was knowledge, Kurt, that was so volatile, so earth-shattering, that the mere knowledge of that getting out could predicate an action that could potentially threaten the entire species? Now, what do I mean by that? For just a moment, take off the scientific hat, take off your humanitarian hat, take off your philanthropic hat, and put on a hat of national security. We just talked about the fact that there's no indication that these things have been here to help us. Okay, so there's really only three possibilities: they're benign, or if you will, benevolent, or two, they are malevolent, they're here to hurt us, or three, they're just here to observe us, and they're capable of doing both good and bad like us. Well, if you were to put on your national security hat for a second, let's say you're a general from the 1950s or 60s, and your job is to protect America and all things good and great, and the height of the Cold War, and you've got the Soviet bear across there, and things are pretty tough, right? And nuclear proliferation is a real thing. Now, you have information that there is something here that can outperform anything you have, and really anything you have is rather ineffective from a national security perspective. And there's a thing out there, and it doesn't show that it's being benevolent. So it's only one of two other options: either malevolent or it's like us. And we see this very careful ISR surveillance of our nuclear equities. It's interested in nuclear equities. Well, some may look at that as what we call preparation for the battlefield. Okay, and let's just say hypothetically, there's a 10% chance. U.S. has a 10% chance that these things are bad, or one day they're going to come here in force, and they're looking at us, right? Remember, you're putting on your national security hat, so forget about everything else for a moment. Your job is to be paranoid, and there's a small remote chance that these things are not good. And maybe there is a plan for these things at some point to come in force in 50 years from now. And if the mere fact you have this conversation with the American people, what's going to happen? Well, the American people are going to start getting prepared. Well, I can tell you in real life combat situations, when we send in long range surveillance LRS teams, behind enemy lines, the moment the enemy finds out that we know, that they know we're there, the element of surprise is over. And so ultimately, hypothetically, imagine a scenario where maybe we had 50 years to prepare for something, but now that the cat's out of the bag, that existential action will happen tomorrow. And by the way, we're not ready for it. We're not prepared for it. We don't have a countermeasure. We don't have a capability to counter this. And so from a very real perspective, a national security perspective, the mere fact that you are acknowledging the existence of something may predicate an action or an act that you're not prepared to have right now. And so I encourage you and your listeners to just for a moment, I'm not asking you to be a national security person, but I'm asking you to suspend your personal beliefs right now for just a moment and put yourself in somebody else's shoes who does feel that way, right? Now, what do? If the mere fact of talking about this could potentially cause a reaction that you're not ready for as a country, as a civilization, right? Maybe that's the reason why you decide to only brief certain presidents who have a background in intelligence. Maybe they were former directors of CIA, but the other presidents who are career politicians will be, they're here today, gone in 4 years. Maybe you can't even risk telling them. And so maybe the reason why this has been kept secret so long is actually, in a weird sense, some sort of sense of patriotism by people. And maybe that's how they justify it. And I'll leave that at that as a counterpoint of forcing people to think maybe a little bit non-traditionally. Now, do I think if that happened to ever be the case, that's a good explanation? No. I still think that we have to be honest with the American people. It's like I've said this before, it's like going to the doctor. Just because I have cancer, it's bad news. Don't keep that from me. I want to know, because maybe there's a chance I can do something about it, right? And so, but do I understand that mentality? Sure. Nobody wants to give anybody bad news. Now, am I saying that's the case? No, I'm not. It's just you asked me one of the reasons why people would want to keep this secret. Well, that's a really damn good reason why people may want to keep this secret, because the mere fact of not keeping it secret could cause a reaction that you're not ready for yet. There's nothing you can do. You don't have a countermeasure. So again, from a national security perspective, that makes sense.
Look, I know Luis Elizondo is a controversial character, and I apologize, guys. This is, I filmed most of this video earlier today, and now I've been adding data points. It's 11 o'clock at night, and it's like, I'm like thinking about other stuff. And I'm just adding it in here and trying to fit it in, and I don't know how it's going to look. It's probably going to look super ghetto. I apologize for that. But it's a data point that's important, okay? Like, even him, that he's a controversial figure, we should listen when he says this kind of stuff, because what he's saying, if you take that and you try to piece it together with the mystery drones, it's interesting, okay? Just keep that in mind. It's not that that's what that is, but it's, I don't know. Last time there was a UAP hearing and the drone flap kicked off literally like 2 weeks after. 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks after the last hearing. Now we're starting to see the same thing happen. Look, I don't know if I'm right about this. It might just be a coincidence, but there's a lot of coincidences with this topic, in particular, the UAP issue. It's full of that. And I think it's at this point, like, I'm trying to see where it goes, and I take coincidences seriously. Now, the thing is, they call these drones because a lot of the phenomena is not being reported as UAP anymore. It's being reported as UAS, UAVs, and drones to avoid UAP and FOIA, and, just try to stay away from the UFO community, because those guys, they're crazy and wild. So do not report a UAP. Just unidentified drone, that's a thing now. All right, so, and it would make a lot of sense if you don't want to report a UAP, because people that get report UAP a lot of times have problems, so you do it that way. That happens a lot, unfortunately. So these drones are mimicking our craft. They look different all the time. Sometimes they look like planes, sometimes they look like drones, and sometimes they have these blinking lights, but they can actually shapeshift. All right, and I know that sounds insane. I know I sound like a total believer saying that all these drones can mimic our craft. I know, but let me show you something real quick.
Island Beach State Park when he saw what he describes as lights brighter than stars forming over the horizon.
When they came toward the shore, it changed from a bright white light to a winged craft
with flashing lights.
Doesn't seem to be bothered. No longer in the one sight. Here it is going back now. This is so freaking weird. This was staying still for over an hour. Come on, buddy, come this way. Keep coming. There it is, come on. Come on out. Now it's hovering over my other neighbor's house. There we go. Now it's more red. This didn't move for hours. So weird, man. Look at the different lights now. It's moving really fast now.
Yo, we caught one, dog. We fucking caught one. I wonder how far I can zoom in on this thing. Oh yeah, it's fucking with my camera. Look at that.
Yeah, it's trying to do the airplane lights.
Yep, there it is now, turned to an airplane. Holy shit. That's fucking insane, yo.
In those markets than in Big Ag, than in row crops, right? The two of us could farm probably 1,000 acres of row crops, but the two of us could barely farm 100 acres of specialty crops. So there's a lot more labor intensity and a lot more labor pressure there, and that's ultimately why we started there. It's also where precision ag is actually needed. So if you and I did a GPS-based tractor on cornfields and we took out, 100 corn stalks, it would be a bummer. But if we did something where we took out one citrus tree, it would be a bigger bummer. So these are much more valuable types of crops, and you got to be a lot more careful around them. And it really hasn't been until recently that technology has advanced to the point where we can do these kinds of things in these very, very tight-spacing, very precious crops around us as we're navigating through and doing those pre- and post-harvest work.
That's Agtonomy's co-founder and CEO, Tim Hooker. For the last 40 years, the Ag Information Network has been the source of news for farmers and ranchers.
So I will leave a link down below. That's Rent Panda Koala's channel. He did something on mystery drones. It's a must watch. So about the mystery drones, I will say this. Russ Coulthard has said, he said a need to know that one time he dropped a Tic Tac was Lockheed Martin's, and he also said the mystery drones were China. The thing is, China's been dealing with the same issue around the same time, actually. I think it was September 11 to September 14, 15. They shut down a bunch of airports in 2024. And now this year, they also shut down a UFO, I heard, like around the same time. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the schedules of this. I don't know if it's related to disclosure or if it's just something random. I do know that Lou Elizondo said, and I wish I had that clip of that interview. This was before I was into the whole mystery drone thing. He said when the drones came from Langley Air Force Base that they had to shut that down. They were waiting for them. So that's very interesting. They knew they were coming. Yeah, if somebody could actually get more information on that, I would appreciate it. Somebody who's got, the connections. Because that seems important. So I wasn't sure if they were saying that they're going to come around September to December. That's when the wave hits, or if it's related to disclosure. I don't know. I'm not sure. But the one thing that's really important is that these drones were not just a part of it wasn't just in New Jersey, okay? It was all over the world, And I saw these multiple times in the Midwest, state of Minnesota, multiple times. And it was really frustrating because the videos are terrible. And that's the problem with this, okay? The videos, anybody watching it will think, oh, it's a plane or whatever, but it's just not quite, you know? But you gotta see it to understand it and believe it. But the thing is, why isn't this China or Russia? Because it was all over the world at the same time. Imagine the resources you would need, okay, to be doing this all at once around the world. And China was dealing with the same problem. Here, I'll show you the incident that was very much indeed underreported. No, almost no one knows about it. September 11th or September 14th of China dealing with this issue last year.
Starting from the night of September 11th, there were unidentified flying objects spotted in Tianjin for 3 consecutive nights. These incidents affected flight operations at Tianjin International Airport, impacting thousands of passengers. According to China's official statement, these were drone intrusions. However, many people doubt this explanation, questioning if these objects were UFOs, as drones usually cannot fly for 10 hours. The incident on the night of September 11th at Tianjin Binhai Airport has been dubbed the Tianjin 9/11 incident. On the night of September 11th, without any unusual weather conditions, Tianjin Binhai Airport activated a yellow-level emergency response plan and cancelled all flights, effectively closing the airport. From around 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., 29 flights were delayed, 8 were cancelled, and 32 had to land at other airports. Some flights circled above the airport dozens of times but couldn't land, affecting more than 3,000 passengers. In the early morning of September 14th at 5:25 a.m., residents in multiple areas of Beijing saw a large glowing object in the sky. Footage showed the sky over Beijing filled with glowing objects, raising curiosity about what these glowing entities could be. Regarding the incident at Tianjin Airport, the strange thing is that the supposed drones faced almost no effective countermeasures. Drone jamming guns, usually regarded as airport defenders, seemed useless this time. Many questioned why these drones weren't just shot down. How could a small civilian drone cause Tianjin Airport to close for nearly 10 hours? In 2022, a drone also appeared over Shenyang Airport, but the airport staff quickly brought it down in just a few minutes, with no major impact on flights. With China's surveillance technology, finding the person behind the drone isn't supposed to be difficult, so why did these incidents continue for several days? The videos online showed various shapes of these unidentified flying objects. Some were round, some were triangular, and some had flashing lights, and others had visible fire engines. Many people doubted the official explanation that they were merely drones. They raised several questions. First, civilian drones usually have a maximum flight time of around 30 minutes and a flight altitude limit of 500 meters. The drones over the Tianjin airport far exceeded these capabilities in terms of endurance, speed, and altitude. Second, airports have electronic fencing technology, preventing drones from taking off near the area. Civilian drones come with pre-programmed no-fly zones, making it impossible for operators to fly them into such areas. Third, airports have devices to interfere with drone signals. Once detected, a drone should be intercepted or shot down by electronic jamming guns. For these reasons, many found it hard to believe that they were just regular drones.
So, very important point that she says there, that the countermeasures against drones weren't working. If you own a drone, you know you can't fly it over the airport. It's not going to work. If you can't even, anything that's restricted airspace, your drone is not going to work. It's going to return to sender. It's going to land. And we have the capability to take drones down. We just do. China has it. The United States has it. But for some reason, we can't do it with these drones. China was having the same problem. Now, I'm going to leave the full link below, but she also explains how there was China Air Force Base, like right there, where these airports were getting shut down. Now, a lot of those videos you saw there are not legit, okay? That channel they cover Chinese news, but it doesn't mean that all those videos you saw were about actual UFOs or that flap that caused airports to shut down. I just want to make that clear. Now, what happened exactly 1 year later? We don't know, but apparently something happened where an object got shut down. We don't know if it was the Chinese military or we don't have any information. There's rumors of these flaps that are happening, that they have some sort of conflict with each other. These are unverified rumors, and this is me where I go, like where I want to go, where my believer side is like, bro, Tom DeLonge was right. You know, these gods have issues with each other's, and UAPs have beef with the other UAPs. This is kind of where, like, I kind of want to go, you know, like want to believe, but I have no evidence for that, except, I mean, a little bit. Let me show you.
Residents in Shandong province reported witnessing an unusual aerial event on the evening of September 12th. A bright light appeared in the sky, moving swiftly before two loud booms and visible flashes were observed. Videos recorded by locals rapidly spread online, drawing widespread attention. Witness accounts describe an object traveling at high speed along a curved path, followed by another luminous object approaching from a different direction. When the two crossed, a flash and loud explosion occurred, leaving many unsure of what had taken place. Analysts suggest the event may have been a missile interception test, with one projectile serving as a simulated target and the other as an interceptor.
By the way, that could be true. It could have been a test. I don't know. But let me show you something about these drones having conflict with each other, okay?
What's going on in New Jersey right now with the so-called drones? Yeah. Let me tell you one. They're not drones. They aren't drones. The U.S. Air Force obfuscates everything. The U.S. Air Force says they're drones. Don't you fucking believe it? The U.S. Air Force also said that thing that I saw did not happen. The U.S. Air Force lies. They obfuscate. The Biden administration, for crying out loud, came out and said they're hallucinations. They're not hallucinations. Look, those things are not just in New Jersey. They're in Great Britain. They're in Australia. They're in the Middle East. They're all over this country.
Lakenheath, Mildenhall, Feltwell, Fairford, Ramstein Air Force Base, Wright-Patterson, Nevada National Security Site, Hill Air Force Base, Lawrence Livermore Lab, Edwards Air Force Base, and Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton.
I don't want to sound like I'm an all-knowing guru about UFOs, but those are UFOs. We are this close to nuclear annihilation right now.
Yes.
The danger has never been worse, never been more harsh, never been more believable.
So what are we seeing with these quote-unquote Jersey drones? Well, there's a great general model for critical thinking proposed by Thomas Bayes, an 18th century British statistician and philosopher. It says that when you're looking at new data, you should use prior data to analyze it. If somebody lies to you about important information 4 times and you catch them in those lies, the 5th time they say something to you, you should maybe doubt the veracity of what they're saying. So if you don't have the data from Robert Hastings' work, your analysis of what's happening today in New Jersey and all around the world is going to be wildly off. You're going to be subject to psychological manipulation by the media, Pentagon, and pretty much anyone trying to explain these sightings away as mass hysteria, hobbyist drones, or covert gamma ray detectors looking for nuclear material on the eastern seaboard. All of these lies seem more likely as possibilities for truth if you don't have any prior data. But if you do know that DC was overrun by UFOs in 1952, if you know about Lincoln LaPaz's work, if you know about Bob Jacobs' sighting at Vandenberg in '64, if you know about what Robert Salas experienced in 1967, if you know about the F.E. Warren case as late as 2010, then all of this might seem more likely to be a simple UFO flap, the likes of which we've been seeing for the last 75 years with the exact same characteristics as what we're seeing today.
Very important point by Jesse Michaels in the end there. But really what I wanted to show you guys was the 2 drones that were shooting projectiles at each other. What's that about? You know, I wonder if these things don't agree, what are they doing? I saw this, I can't remember what channel it was, but it was a remote viewing of 3IA Atlas, this comet, or maybe not comet, whatever. It's an unknown, supposedly an interstellar comet that is coming to, close to our Earth, right? And they were doing a remote view, and the thing is, the Future Forecasting Group has had very interesting remote views about this 3IA Atlas object. I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to say much, but then this channel also did a remote view on it and said that this was some sort of alien mothership, that that it wasn't here to destroy humanity or nothing like that, but it had problems with that non-human intelligence that is already here, and who knows if all that is true, man. But I do take the Future Forecasting Group very seriously. They're one of the best out there, and they've impressed me before. They impressed me with the Israel October 7th horrible attack. I remember they did a month earlier a remote view forecasting the month, and man, it was crazy how spot on they were. I was like, whoa, how did they guess that? And they were like, something really bad is gonna happen, but I'm going on a tangent, I apologize. Let's get back to the mystery drones. That list that they presented, Desi Michaels showed on Twitter, and there was a reporter, that list is short, okay? That was not all of the things or places that got affected. Who was getting affected? Military bases were targeted. Air Force, Langley, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Interesting places, by the way. And nuclear plants were getting targeted. And other critical infrastructure. These were the hotspots, all right? Not necessarily nuclear. Also, critical infrastructure. In fact, if you go look at the reports and look at the articles from Denmark and all of this that just happened right now, you'll see that it was there was one that I read. It was like attack on our critical infrastructure. And they were trying to blame Russia, but they couldn't. Russia won't. At least they won't admit it. But the thing is, that is, I can see how that's a national security threat. You can see why it seems so dangerous to be flying around these areas. I mean, think about it. Why are these hotspots? I never knew why the nuclear thing was a hotspot, like especially with nuclear plants. I understand nuclear weapons. Maybe it was some sort of energy, but it's interesting that that's such a magnet to UAPs and these mystery drones, just like nuclear weapons. And now critical infrastructure too of other types. I don't know, but I can see why that's viewed as a threat. That seems very dangerous. Now, I don't know what these things are doing. I think they come in waves. They started around Colorado, Nebraska in 2020, and it's just been getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Why? I don't know. I'm about to share a couple of videos of my personal experience with these things. And maybe, I don't know, I feel like the videos are terrible, but whatever, I don't care. Like, I'm still gonna share it. Like, I know what I saw with my eyes, and I know the videos don't do it justice, and that's one of the problems with these things. But keep your eyes in the sky if you wanna see one of these things. If a wave starts happening, if it starts spreading, go to a nuclear plant, go to somewhere with critical infrastructure, some sort of gas, whatever, like, and look up. I don't know if we're there yet though. I still haven't seen reports. I think I saw reports in New York of these things, but yeah, that's my advice. Here, let me share a couple of my videos. Fucking quiet. God damn it, man. Fuck, that's weird, dude. So that thing over there looked like just a normal plane, but then it stopped and it went back to the, look, it's just doing that right now. It stopped and it's going this way. And now it'll probably do it again. Man, I'm sorry for these lights, guys. But hold on, wait for it. That's the thing I'm talking about. Man, stupid iPhone. So it does that. Oops. The drones are back in town. I don't really know if that's a drone. Hold on, damn it, I can't even. So all I know is that it's been turning back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There it is. It's right over where I work. So like it'll go forward and back. Oh my god, it sucks doing this while I'm driving. It's the worst, dude. There it is, that thing. Look, see, I just did that right now. Now it's going back. Hold on. Damn it, stupid lights. See, now it's turning this way, back and forth, back and forth. And it's not on flight radar. Wait for it. Hold on. And now it'll probably stop. That's where it's been stopping at least. Maybe it's a normal drone though. So that one looks so super prosaic. It looks like nothing interesting at all. I did check flight radar, and by the way, don't judge me, guys. I know I'm not driving and chasing UFOs anymore. I'm not doing that, but I was obsessed with these things, and I was trying to get them, and I don't know, but I'm not doing that anymore. Don't judge me. This thing looks super prosaic, nothing interesting, especially the second video, but I'm telling you, it was one of these things that wasn't on flight radar, and it was doing that grid-like movement, like they're playing chess. I don't know what the hell these things are doing of, yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. But in the video, you can't see anything. So all you got is like, well, you got to trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. You guys, the UAP community loves that. So that's another one that I saw. I mean, I would see these things all the freaking time during flaps, man. During waves, I don't know. But I look up. That's the thing. I do look up, and I thought this flap was fascinating. And honestly, I did get discouraged a little bit because I did see the UAP community wasn't covering it. Like, people weren't interested. They thought it was prosaic. They thought it wasn't interesting. You're right. It's not as interesting as the Phoenix Lights or whatever, but you can compare it kind of to the Phoenix Lights if it is anomalous, right? And I showed you videos of these drones changing shapes with the red panda koala video. There's a lot of reports of that, right? And so if it's a wave that's that worldwide, all over the world at once, it should be taken seriously, right? Like that is some Phoenix Lights kind of level, right? Like I think it is, at least, for sure. So I was a little bit discouraged because people were divided on this. A lot of people thought it was prosaic. Most people, I think, did actually. So I'm like one of the few, but I think most people that did see it would say that it was strange. And the thing is, what got me was that it was the volume of this, right? How they were everywhere. I don't think China or the United States has the capability to do that. I just don't. But, like, who knows, man? I don't know anything. I'm just a guy, you know? I'm just an average guy, so it could be. The thing is the purpose. Why? If it was China, then that's checkmate. Why haven't we seen it yet? China has some impressive technology. They just did this show the other day, but I did not see the car-sized drones. I did not see those. So I'm still waiting to see that. I know China is also being affected by this. So yeah, I think it's fascinating. Let's see what happens. And let me show you a few more videos. All right, so I know what you're thinking. You can't see anything there, but so I'm seeing this. Let me just give you the eyewitness testimony, right? Before I see this object, I noticed the moon. This was March 20th, 2025. This is the last time I saw the mystery drones, and I'll explain why I know these were interesting, even though you can't see anything there. I see them, but before that, I see the moon. Something strange was going on with the moon. It looked, I don't know, it was like almost like if something was cloaking it, or it looked really weird. It wasn't any of the shapes. I can't even explain it. So then I start seeing these objects, right? And I catch one, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to park my car and take a good look at this. And I'm about to show you more, like not that good video, honestly. But these is 5 in the morning, just before I was going to work. So it was before 6 in the morning. It was like 5:40 something, 5:50. I actually called 911 to report it. And I'll tell you more about that in a second. But it was so interesting because when I park, you start seeing multiple of these things. And fortunately, it was way better in person, I know. But these things were like all coming, there were so many of them, and they were coming in like, almost like they were doing, how do you say this? Like they were, like they had like a place to go, and they were like in a line and doing the same thing, one after another. So they would come, and then they would go up, and then I couldn't film them because they were so high up. But one of them broke that pattern with me. One of them was let me show you.
That one I don't know, but the really cool one, oh man, it's up there. And they keep coming in a grid. They keep coming in a grid. Let me see if I can, I can't, dude, it sucks. I can barely show you that. This one. That one you can't tell, but it's weird. There's a bunch of them, dude. There is a lot of them. I had to park and see if I could get anything good on my iPhone, but nope. Here comes another one. And I'm about to get off my phone and see sky whatever to see, because that does kind of look like a plane, but it's really weird. It looks like it has a mouth or something in the front. What the fuck? Dude, it's pointing at me. Hello? Whoa. That's it. I'm cool. I come in peace. Bro. Fuck. Where'd it go? Okay. What is that, dude? They're everywhere. Everywhere. Anyways, here comes the next guy. So they're coming from there, doing a line crossing, and then they come over. So it's gonna come right through. Oh, it's hard to see. It's hard to see. Oh, I guess that one didn't go the same way that this one went. The other ones have been going a certain other direction. That one knows I don't know, maybe it knows I'm recording. Although that last one definitely did not care. What's it doing? What's it doing? See, that's just like, it just stopped there. You can't really see shit, I know. Anyways, let's see if there's something else. Well, anyway, a lot of them went up to the sky, like that one. That's a drone up in the sky, and there's just sitting there. And then that's another drone sitting in the sky, just sitting there. That's another one just sitting there. Oh, those moved. I have no idea what the fuck they're doing. I gotta go to work. Damn it. Bro, I don't know if you guys can see that. I bet you can't see that. I bet I'm fucking this whole thing up. I gotta go. Fuck. Following me to work or what?
Alright guys, so here's the thing. I suggest when you are listening to witnesses, look for patterns, because a lot of times it's not the videos aren't satisfying, but you can still look for patterns. I took that video on March 20th of 2025. Then a few days later in Florida, Daytona Beach, people saw the same thing. There's videos of reports of the moon looking weird. And in that video, I say, it looks like it has a mouth and teeth. And I'm gonna show you an article which describes exactly the same a few days after my sighting. But here's the thing, guys. When I was having that sighting, it was weird because these things were going like, I don't know, they were like following, how do I say this? They were like following the same trajectory, right? So they would come across the McDonald's and then they would just like go up, and they would, all of them were doing that. One of them stops and checks me out, and that's when I kind of freak out, and I'm like, I come in peace, like whatever. You can't, the video is embarrassing. I can't even believe I'm showing this. It's terrible. You don't see shit. But in person, that thing turned at me. It turned at me and it looked at me and it got a little bit closer. And I got scared, man. I freaked out for a second. I'm like, I'm cool, man. I'm not looking for any problems, you know. Do not abduct me, please. All right, so the one that comes after breaks the pattern that they're all doing. They're all following the same trajectory. The one that came after, it was almost like they had personalities. Like most of them ignored me. One checked me out. The one behind it, it almost like I spooked it. Like it got scared and it went away. It broke the pattern. And I know it sounds crazy, guys, but like, what are you gonna do, man? Like, you guys wanna like, I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. I know. But look, you look for patterns. Now we're gonna take a look at another report that happened days afterwards. Okay, let's see what they say. So this was in March 23rd, 2025, and they explained the sighting in Florida, Daytona, and they describe it, and there was a bunch of TikTok videos, but the guy said, or the journalist, like it almost looked like it had mouth and teeth. This was March 23rd, and my sighting was in March 20th. Here's a screenshot. So yeah, that's kind of what I got for today, guys. I appreciate everything. I don't know how embarrassing it is. Those terrible videos that I showed don't show anything, but you know, I saw what I saw, and I don't know, man. It is what it is, you know. Like, I still wanted to share it. I think that's an aspect that we don't hear much about anymore. People are all about like disclosure from the government, and they're not really interested in people's stories. People are struggling, you know, that get into this. Experiencers, they're also getting harassed by, you know, unknown mysterious helicopters, strange people, and it's not easy to live that life, man. I'm just gonna say that. Luckily, I haven't had much activity lately, but I've been through that, and it's not easy, man. It's not easy. I know right now it's happening on UFOX. They're talking about all this stuff about, you know, people harassing other people. You know, Courtney, oh man, I can't say her. She's from Alaska, amazing researcher. I apologize, it's embarrassing. But anyways, they're talking about all this that is happening, and you know, I've been through that. Been through the UAP, the mystery drones, the black helicopters, and all that, and it's not a fun place to be because you sound insane. You sound like paranoid. You sound, you know, people wouldn't even I don't know, man. It's like, it sounds so absurd that you don't share it. And it's like, for me, that's how I did it. I shared a little bit here and I feel better. And, you know, so we got to listen to people. And a lot of times there's not much one person can do, but just listening helps, man. Like, and not judging, you know, and I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to say that. And, you know, I'll share just a few of those harassment moments I had, or that were interesting, you know. I don't have any base, at the time where I was living before, I didn't have any bases close by, military bases, and they were still over my house at nighttime. Chinooks, Black Hawks. Sometimes the house would be shaking at 2 a.m. It was about to land in my roof. I've had them here, not as much lately, but it's a whole thing. Here.
What the fuck, dude? Why is that not registering in flight radar? It's a helicopter. Why isn't that? What the fuck? That's like, why is she not? Don't fly over me, bro. Don't fly over me. Unmarked? I don't see any numbers. Nope, there's no numbers. It's blacked out. That Chinook is back, dude. You hear those blades? Can't really tell. Yeah, it looks pretty big. I don't know.